Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Our Community with Whitney Prather. Learn about what's happening in Stark and Tuscarawas counties and the surrounding areas. We're going to highlight interesting people, businesses, organizations, churches, events, and even more. Stay tuned. I'm so excited about our next guest today. Corey Minor-Smith is joining me of Corey Empowers. She is a proud mother of 2 young men in addition to being an attorney, author, and speaker. Corey uses her learned experience to uplift and encourage families and friends that have undesirable circumstances. She's the embodiment of the phrase, if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. With a national platform, Corey advocates for research, funding, and services to improve the quality of life for those living with severe mental illness. Notably, Corey's highly regarded debut book, #Driven, has been lauded as searing and moving in the New York Times, and she's been featured on numerous shows, including The Breakfast Club, The Willie Jolly Wealthy Ways Show, and Sister Circle Live. You can definitely learn more about her at CoreyEmpowers.com. You're going to learn a lot more about her in this interview. Every time that I connect with her, she definitely inspires me. When I think about her story, it's just amazing. So enjoy this interview. I sure did. Welcome to Our Community. Whitney Prather here, and I am joined by Corey Empowers. You may know her as Corey Minor-Smith in the community. Corey, how are you today?
I'm fine, Whitney. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited that you're here with us today.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to chat with you and learn, more things about the community and share whatever knowledge I have with those who are listening.
Yes, well, I'm excited about your knowledge today. I just want to jump right into this conversation about maintaining mental health despite what's happening in the world. Everybody is talking about mental health. It's definitely top of mind. I want to hear your tips. You're a mental health advocate, and you have definitely some credibility and some experience with dealing with mental health, but talk to us about your tips about mental health during this specific time.
I really want to touch on what I call my AAA strategy, and it is acknowledging, accepting, and advocating. It's important for us to understand that our mental health is a part of our overall physical health, our overall total wellness and being. And many times we may not think about things that bother us, or maybe we suppress those things or try to just get past it. And I'm speaking from personal experiences, like nothing's going to bother me. I got to get to my goal and I don't want to think about nothing else. But it's important, especially in these times where we're facing an unprecedented impact on our community, not only on our personal lives, but on our community, on a local level, a national level, and even globally. So with this COVID-19, this global pandemic, we need to pay attention, to focus, and to accept the fact that this is impacting us in different ways. And just because you're not responding the way another person responds doesn't have to be a negative. You have to take it how it's impacting you and your family, and then making the best plan and approach for you and your family to get through this next phase of all of our lives and how it may be directly impacting us.
Nice. So give me those 3 steps again, please.
Sure.
The 3 A's.
Acknowledging, accepting, and advocating. So with acknowledging, again, just recognizing that mental health, mental illness is real. And we can talk about the span or the scope or the spectrum, if you will, of different mental illnesses, different levels, or the spectrum of depression, anxiety, and again, how it impacts us directly. And just as a disclaimer, I am not a doctor. I'm a lawyer, but I am not a doctor. And a lot of my information is from my own research and my own involvement with being a caregiver of my mother, who lives with severe mental illness. So I do defer to the professionals and the experts in that manner, but I'm giving you practical knowledge and tips.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you made a little disclaimer there, like talk to an expert, talk to your own doctor about it. And I think that that is a part of just really accepting and embracing what's going on with you and making sure that you get the help and taking care of yourself. You are also kind of a fitness advocate too. I have seen some of your Facebook content, and I didn't say you were a fitness guru. I just said you're an advocate, and you do your thing. You do your thing, and I love it. It's inspiring. Fitness certainly plays a role in our mental health.
Yes, absolutely. It's releasing the different chemicals in our body, helping us to process things, our food that we eat. And I laughed immediately when you mentioned about me being in regards to a fitness advocate, because I often say I have an on again, off again relationship with working out, because and I am not consistent with it at all. And I say that right now I'm on my off phase with working out, but it is important to incorporate something in your world, whether it's just parking further away than you would at the grocery store and walking, taking that opportunity to stretch your legs, to just change your breathing pattern. Many times, and again, speaking from experience, I literally stop breathing because I'm so focused or tense on whatever it is I'm working on. And I catch myself not breathing. And it's like a big release and like, hold up, let me breathe here for a second. And I remember explaining this to my best friend, and she really didn't understand what I was talking about until she saw it for herself. She was visiting when I had my book launch 2019, the release of #Driven. And we were getting ready to go somewhere, like in the bathroom doing our hair. And it was like a big breath just came out. She was like, what's going on? I said, that was it. Like I wasn't breathing for however long of a period of time. So we really have to pay attention to how our body functions, how we think, how we move each day through our own individual worlds, and do what's best for yourself to improve each day. So with your mental health and your physical health, going to your doctor's appointments. And when you go for your annual physical, hopefully go for your annual physical, you could also ask your doctor about doing a mental health inventory. It's not to say that you believe you have mental health issues or maybe stressed out or whatever, but you want to check. You want to make sure. So if your stress levels have increased, there may be options or things that you can do to address it there before it elevates into some more severe case of like anxiety or panic attacks and things of that nature. So it's very important for us to take time out to breathe, literally and figuratively breathe, and to think about the ways that we can improve each and every day of our lives.
Good. That's really, really good sound advice. I really appreciate it. It makes me think of just creating routines around our life schedule, morning routines, evening routines. So you talked about #Driven,
yes,
which is really your life story. You mentioned about your 2019 launch. Talk to us about that book. Talk to us about the stories that are in that book. What is #Driven?
Yes, well, I actually have a copy right here. And thank you so much for designing it. So #Driven.
To say that.
I slipped it in. #Driven is a motivational memoir, and ultimately is used as a resource for families and friends that have a loved one living with severe mental illness. Again, that acknowledgement, the acceptance, and the advocacy that I have come to coin as my AAA strategy. I had to get to a point of acknowledging mental illness. Like, what is that? Understanding and knowing more of it. At 14 years old, my mother was diagnosed with manic depression, paranoid schizophrenia. Now that's like 4 words. And what does that mean? How is that going to impact us? What is that going to do in our lives? Who knows? We didn't know. And I was 14, but I'm in the emergency room. Emergency room. A lot of people don't have insurance, and they go to the emergency room when things get out of their own control. So in the emergency room, I hear these words to describe why my mother was talking nonstop, because I didn't know what was wrong with her. right? So it led me on a path of acknowledging, first of all, that there are these words, and then to understand what those words meant. And more importantly, what those words meant to us as a mother and daughter and how we were going to proceed in our lives. And then accepting, dare I say, it was not until Mother's Day of this year, 2020, that I have come to fully accept that my mother has severe mental illness, and the behaviors related to her diagnoses may never go away, even with treatment, even with her working with a treatment team, even with her consistently and voluntarily going to receive services on her own. It doesn't mean that the symptoms, all of them, are going to go away. So just this year, Mother's Day 2020, I came to accept that fact. And then the third piece, the advocacy. I am advocating through #driven to even talk about some very personal, some very, tight-lipped in many communities, taboo subjects, if you will, but they're related to the behaviors that are associated with my mother's diagnosis. And a lot of people, in reading the examples, the stories, the real life situations, can recognize behaviors in some of their own loved ones' lives and understand it's not them just acting out, or it's not them just being addicted to drugs or alcohol. It's not them just wanting attention, that they very well may live with severe mental illness. And so it's important for us to be open to receiving information so that you are in a position of acknowledging things outside the scope of your mindset, to accept things that are outside the scope of what you think reality is or how you proceed in your world. And then as an advocate, helping to break down the stigma. Many people don't want to talk about mental illness because of these behaviors that we see. They can be extreme, they can be dangerous, but they don't have to cause you to not be engaged with your loved one, or to dismiss people you may see in the community that on any given day in downtown USA, you see them sleeping on a corner, or standing up against a building all day long, or pushing a grocery cart full of what we may perceive as junk. Mm-hmm. And that's their world and that's their life. And we need to understand that they may be impacted by severe mental illness.
Yeah. Yeah. Compassion, empathy.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure. I want to camp out on something that you said a few times when you were talking about acceptance. You said that it wasn't until this year, Mother's Day, that you really accepted your mother's diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And it's been many years since you were 14. So yes. What events led up to that? Talk to me a little bit about why it took you so long to accept, because you've been doing this work for years.
Yeah, but it was a journey of understanding what I was doing. When I was first asked to speak, I had just returned to Canton from law school. I just became a lawyer. And I was asked to speak for the school district, and not even realizing or knowing my story at that time. But I shared some of it. And that's what started me on this speaking thing, because I used to not say what happened or what was wrong with my mother. I used to say my mother became ill and could no longer take care of me. And that's how I ended up with my grandmother. But I've learned in the little bits that I would share more and more that people were more and more engaged and were able to relate more. And it helped other people because they were dealing with someone in their lives that exhibited the same thing. Or a lot of our children in our community are living with people who are not even related to them, which was the case for me sometimes, and feeling ashamed about that, feeling like they're not going to be able to excel in their lives because they aren't in the part of the nuclear traditional family that a lot of us may have seen on television and wanted to emulate, like me with Leave It to Beaver, for example. But that's not real life for a lot of people. And we need to understand and know, especially the youth in our community, that they can still excel in their lives. So once I started to release a little bit more, disclose a little bit more information, I found that it was beneficial to other people and helping them to know the possibilities for their world, even if it didn't come with traditional circumstances that we may think helps to propel people to success. So as far as Mother's Day of this year, I pulled up my post from my Instagram and I say, Happy Mother's Day to my mom. Geneva Maria Lawal, you do all you can when you can. And that you do all you can when you can, I revised from you did what you could when you could. And I said, no, it's not past tense. It's never been past tense. She continues to do what she can when she can. And that, just those words help me to understand there are going to be times where she can't. Her behaviors may become so severe that she can't, and that's okay. We don't have a traditional mother-daughter relationship. And I had to acknowledge and accept that and know that we still are mother and daughter. We just have a different type of relationship. And so just sharing these types of real life examples, I believe truly helps individuals, because many times we just see people in these roles and we feel like they're so successful and, you know, they couldn't have possibly had to go through any issues or obstacles. No, sister and brother. People are dealing with issues every day, you know, and we have to not compare. And that's something I just embraced in the last 2 weeks. Comparing to yourself to others can be mentally draining, stressful, overwhelming in your life. And so we want to talk about mental health. One of the key things would be to not compare yourself to others, to live your own life, and to accept and embrace the gifts that God has given you and learn how to use those, not only for yourself, because it's a gift, right? So you need to give it to others. How can you use your gifts to give to others, to help others have a better life, or to see a path to a better way of life, a higher quality of life? And that's that advocacy piece. Whatever your gifts are, however you learn to use them, can be that advocacy.
Did you literally come here to preach today?
I really didn't, but I did listen to TD Jakes before I got on this call.
You listened to Pastor TD Jakes. Well, we can tell.
But I really, in hashtag driven, I quote a lot from Dr. Miles Monroe. He talks about gifts and tapping into your gifts, because I didn't understand mine or even know that I had any, or what do I do? And all I know is I want to get to this level. How do I get there? You know, so we really, really have to take time to self-assess and, you know, just take the time. I was so busy. I am now a busyness disruptor.
I love it. You need to tell us your ways. A lot of people need to stop being so busy.
Yes, because it's not giving you time again to breathe, literally and figuratively, and to be introspective. What we have inside of it, what we want, whatever we're thinking about in our lives, we already have what we need to get there. But if you don't take the time to learn about it, to understand what it is, your superpowers, your zone of genius, whatever it is, you may never get to what you think you want for yourself or for your life or for your children's lives or others that you may take care of. So it is so important to just stop. If you don't take anything else from this interview, know that you just need to stop.
Yeah.
And take a breath and be introspective and not just think about things, write them down. That is so important and so intense for your well-being, how you're feeling. Maybe you don't want to share it with anyone. Write it down, and vigorously, if you're angry, you know, show me. Write it all out with all your anger. You might you stroke your pen, tear up the paper, write it out. And it doesn't mean you have to keep it if you're concerned about somebody reading it, rip it up, throw it away, you know, but you get it out instead of allowing it to bottle up and fester and become a problem. Disease is dis-ease. We want to have ease in our lives, and we have to let go.
Wow. Talk to me about, I'm saying wow, because that's just a lot, lot to process. I'm thinking about how I need to sit somewhere down and just, you know,
have several seats, as one of our favorite people says all the time.
Yes,
Take
have
several
several
seats.
seats. You see all those seats over there? Go ahead and sit in each one of them, please. So,
Absolutely.
you talk about undesirable circumstances. You have a go to quote that you always go to. And today you're really encouraging people to, you know, get through these undesirable circumstances and
Yes.
be encouraged and be in tune. Talk to me about your quote and talk to me about how people can still be encouraged when life isn't going the way that they want it to go,
Yes, like
which
this
is hello 2020.
hello 2020, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Yes, there people have lost jobs, lost family members, and we don't want to discount or devalue that or dismiss those things. Those are real life things,
Yes.
hurtful things, family and loved ones in nursing homes, and you can't visit them. I've experienced that. One of the women that allowed me to live with her and her daughter, she just recently died. She was in a nursing home, her daughter down in Texas, and her daughter couldn't see her. She could only see her through the window, but she could tell her mother wasn't looking well. All I'm
Mm,
saying is I'm not dismissing that. There are very difficult things going on, but I do sum them up to be undesirable circumstances. And my quote comes from an educator, Norma Washington, Canton City Schools. I love her. She just called me last week and to let me know she has a new phone number. She's down in Florida, but I received the words undesirable circumstances from her. She knew about things in my life, and she wanted me to write about it when it was time for me to go to college and apply for scholarships. She encouraged me to write about my undesirable circumstances, what she called, and show how I overcame them, because she, in her thoughts and what she shared with me, is scholarship committees want to see students' tenacity, their potential, that they won't easily give up because college is hard, right? And they want to invest
yeah.
in people who are more than likely able to get through the difficult times. So I came up with my life's motto is don't allow undesirable circumstances to be excuses for you to fail, but allow them to be reasons for you to excel. And that's on the back of the bookmark that comes with #driven, that anyone can have if they would like. But the undesirable
I love it.
circumstances, especially in this time, we have to do whatever we can, what works best for us, to not allow them to overwhelm us. Let's say what a job loss. I mean, my goodness, that I just read a story of a young lady. She said, that depression started to sink in because she was let go from her job. She's applying everywhere, networking, doing all the things people tell you should do. And she was not getting any job offers. And the depression started to weigh down on her. And then out of nowhere, somebody on LinkedIn reached out to her, right? So what does that tell you? It tells me we have to have faith, right?
Yeah.
Faith is one of
Yeah.
the 5 principles of #driven. There's faith, determination, motivation, preparation, and action. That number one, faith. I am even challenged in my faith many times, and people remind me, hey, what you talk about in #driven? Your number one thing is faith. You better tap into that right now. But we can lose track, we can lose sight because things can become so overwhelming. Interactions with family members, co-workers, just daily things that go on. We have to find a way to stay centered. And even when we get off track, left to center, right to center, we come back centered with steps that we're able to follow, whether it's the 5 principles that are discussed in #driven, or that will develop further in my upcoming group, my membership group that I'm creating, Driven You, is to help people to stay on track, because life is not going to stop throwing stuff at you. This is
Yeah.
life. There are a lot of swirls and twirls and turns and start overs, resets, and we have to, again, acknowledge that that is going to happen. You're not going to reach
Yeah.
any level of success where all the problems go away. You have to acknowledge that. You have to get to a point of accepting the things that may already be in your life that you have to deal with on a daily basis, like taking care of a loved one who is ill, aging parents as we get older. It's like, oh my gosh, I just finished rearing my children. Now I got to take care of my parents. But
Yes.
yes, we're, the sandwich
They call that
generation,
the sand.
the
Yeah, I was gonna
sandwich
say they call
generation.
it the sandwich generation when
Yes,
you're taking care of kids, but you also have to look after your parents.
absolutely. So how does that mean that you can't reach your goals? You can't become that successful person, whatever success is for you? No, it means you find a way to do it. You find a way to do it, and you use resources that are available. Many times we don't want to ask for help. We got to show that we're strong. We can deal with it, all these things, but you have to rely on the help that is available to you. And people are more than willing to help you because they see that you want to reach a certain level, a goal, or whatever it is in your life. So very, very important.
Corey, you are so encouraging. Like, I am so lifted up by talking to you, knowing the struggle that you've been through, but yet hearing your tenacity and your faith. It is wonderful. It's encouraging. I know that the hand of God is on your life and he is propelling you for such great things. Before we leave, I want you to tell us about the significance of gratitude.
Oof, I'm learning that right now. I have this journal my friend gave me. She calls it my happy journal. She was like, write down your happy thoughts, the happy things you want to do. But we do. When you find yourself just getting overwhelmed with all the negatives in your life, take a pause for the cause. Stop, breathe. Write things down, the positives, the fact that you are breathing. There are people who are on ventilators who cannot breathe on their own. There are people who can't walk on their own. There are so many things we take for granted each and every day. Just being able to get out of the bed, as I'm getting older, I'm like, oh, my knee. I'm just kidding. But I do hear that from people older than me.
Those knees.
Yeah, I was a cheerleader and gymnastics. So, sometimes it'll catch me off guard just going up the stairs and it feels like it separates or something. I'm like, oh my goodness. But we just have to take the time to thank God. Just be thankful for the things that you're able to do on your own. That trip to the grocery store, there are people who can't do it. That's why there's organizations like Meals on Wheels to help people deliver food to them. Everybody can't afford Instacart or, the Uber Eats and things like that. So what can you do? Your part, you're sharing your gifts. Your gift being that you have 2 legs and hands and arms that you can help someone else who doesn't. Our veterans, we don't just celebrate them on Veterans Day. We need to celebrate them each and every day. And many times they're the people that we see in wheelchairs that are missing limbs. They should never have a lower quality of life, not for the sacrifices that they've made for this country.
Yes.
And so it's important for us to just see where we fit in, get in where you fit in and help others, and be grateful that you are physically and mentally able to help others, because many people are more than appreciative of whatever you are willing to do and help on their behalf.
Yeah. Corey, you've given us so many gems. I hope the people who are listening to this walk away with encouragement. You have totally been a light here. I also feel like I can walk away from here and write a mission statement based on the thing. I love when you said pause for the cause.
Yes.
And also I'm going to use that one. And I also really love the fact that you're saying, just get in where you fit in. And it just makes me think that people should go and write a personal mission statement about how their life, how their history can help inform their future and even help other people. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to leave it here. I feel like we could go another half hour, but we don't have the time. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me, Whitney. It was my honor and pleasure to chat with you today.
Thank you to our guest today, and thank you for tuning in. Cheers. Until next time.